We in here.
Yo, what up, man? This is the
Oh,
True Thoughts podcast. Um, you got me here. You got Omar here.
for
Took a
sure.
little break. Took a little break to recalibrate. Um, we gave y'all 10 episodes. We're in the process of giving y'all the second 10 episodes of season 1, and the second half of this season, we got some guests coming on. Some
Right.
special guests. We're gonna get away from talking about the case and the litigations and try to focus on some other things we got going on as well. But we will keep continuing to give updates. Uh, I met with my attorneys today, and it was a good meeting. The energy is good. We moving in the right direction, and the is in. The end is near.
For sure.
Um,
Clock is ticking.
the clock is ticking. It's the beginning of the end though. So patience on my behalf and patience on my family and my supporters' behalf. And that's that. Um I want to say congratulations to my niece, Zoe Jeanette. She just finished up her sophomore year of college at Morgan State University.
For
Shout
sure.
out to the historical black colleges and universities. Zoe Jeanette is my favorite person in the whole wide world. I love her to death, and she's 20 years old now. And I was around that age when I got incarcerated, so we got a special bond. Shout out to Zoe. Continue to do good. She's on course to do some great things, and I'm rooting for her. Um, also, I want to send some love to my man. He was one of my closest comrades, Albert Duran, aka Dip, aka Al Brim, the Hat Boy. Uh, I met him in '09, and we did about 12 years together. He did a total of 14 before he was released from prison, and unfortunately, he lost his life to gun violence.
Oh, man.
And if he was alive today, he would be 37 years old. Uh, in prison, very rarely do you meet true and genuine people, especially people to call a friend, a brother, a comrade, a homie. I was able to call him all of those things. I knew that I didn't have to worry about him sticking a knife in my back. And I miss him. It's been 3 years now. He was killed in February of 2021. And today he would be 37. Uh, my condolences go out to Albert Duran.
Sleep in peace, brother.
That's right. Uh, so what you got for me today? What we doing today, bro?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about something that, was close to us, you know what I mean? Like self-publishing, being your own boss, you know what I mean? Uh, I just wanted to touch on some of those things and see why you chose to do that, even though I know, but the people out there don't know. But why you chose to do that, why you feel like that's good, and why you feel like it's a boom in that industry now. Like, well, not that industry, but in that field where everybody feels like they want to be self publishing.
I think it is an industry though. It
You
is
think
an
so?
industry in itself because just like in the early days of hip hop, um you had to fit a certain mold. You had
Right.
to fit into a certain script in order to get a deal. You look at the Jay-Z's, of the world. You know what I'm saying? They had to go independent first,
Right.
you know, and they had to start Rockefeller Records. And they had to put out Reasonable Doubt. Before Reasonable Doubt, it was the EP that I had In My Lifetime on it, but it was Independence. So when you think about self-publishing represents independence.
Right.
And we chose to go that route for many reasons. Number one is you maintain ownership of your creativity, not just your stories, your manuscripts, but the creativity within itself. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't necessarily a choice, but it was necessary at the time. At that time, you gotta think we talking about 17 years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't easy to self-publish 17 years ago.
No. No, he had
It
to
was
go through a
super
lot of
hard.
hoops. He had to jump through a lot of hoops and make a lot of
You are
mistakes.
right, right. A lot of mistakes, a lot of hiccups. We were supposed to be putting Respect the Struggle out in '08. It didn't come out to 2010.
Yeah.
So self-publishing is important to ownership, especially for, the African American people in our demographic, street literature, hip hop fiction. We
Right.
have to create our own paths and maintain our creativity without letting it be diluted or watered down.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like yeah, when we did it, we needed to do it because I felt like it was necessary. It wasn't like a slight to anybody, but I figured like it was the best move for you, especially because you were in the situation that you were in, still in, and then I figured like at least when you build this and you learn this from the ground up, you will build a foundation for when you eventually were free that you would have this company. You know what I mean? I didn't really have an intention like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be his partner. I'm gonna do, I really in the beginning I felt like I help him build this, and then when he come home, he'll have his own company. You know what I mean? And we could do something else, even though because I'm not a writer, I'm not an editor. I don't know nothing about. I barely could fucking spell good. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
And
so I was like, I don't know about this, but I love to learn about things that I don't know about. You know what I mean? So
right,
you know what I mean? Like I feel like it was something that like a task, like a test I gave myself to figure out how I would navigate this. If somebody threw me there, I felt like kind of like that Jay-Z thing. Put me anywhere on
right,
God's green earth. I triple my work
right,
type of thing after a while.
right,
You know
right,
what I mean? So,
right, right.
so
And today you're a publisher.
right, right,
It's not just about self-publishing.
right,
We actually formulated a publishing company,
right,
a publishing house independently.
right. Yeah, something that, like I said once again, wasn't ever in my thought process. I wasn't like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have a publishing company. I think it's easy. I just put some books out, grab some artists, some writers, some authors.
Right,
But you know what I mean? It wasn't that. But I like what it turned into because it's not only now it don't not only helps you, it helps other brothers out there to try to get their dreams out. Try to, their dreams of being writers, whether they good, they bad, whatever. If you try to do something, I want to help you. Doesn't your level or expertise in it doesn't really matter as long as you're trying to make
right,
something out of yourself. You know what I mean? That's the best thing about it.
right, right. I agree
Yeah.
110%.
And then also I was like, what made you say, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just keep doing this and putting it. But I know you like to write, but what was like your thought process after you put out the first book?
The first book. So the first book was crazy because I remember being in the yard in the state pen,
Right.
and I was around goons and gangsters and killers, dudes sentenced to life sentences,
Right.
and I was like, yo, I want to write a book. I'm gonna write this book, and dudes was like, you gonna write a book? What you mean? I'm like, yo, I'm gonna write a fucking book, B. I got a fucking great idea for this book. I got a life you could write a book on.
Right.
And oh, they was laughing at me. They was like, what you gonna name this book? And I was like, I don't know yet. They was like, what you gonna name it? The hottest summer ever. And at this time, Sister Soldier had the coldest one ever, which
Right.
is a classic. I love that joint. And it was like, well, what you gonna name it? Be more, even more careful. And I was like, come on, man, y'all trying to clown me. But
Right.
that level of they respected me, but they didn't know how to respect the passion, the mission, or my ambition until I came out with the first 10 chapters. Like, yo,
Right.
check this out. Let me know what you think. And then that's when he was like, yo, this motherfucker's serious. He gonna write a book. And that was 20 years ago.
Oh, you know what? I also when you name those books and those be more careful coders went to Apple. It reminds me of how we forgot to talk about how those people, well, not Sister Soldier, but Wahida Clark and as well as Shannon Holmes, they were trying to help you in the beginning.
Right, right,
Mm,
right, right. I was
right.
in direct contact with Shannon Holmes in the early to mid 2000s, 20 years ago.
Right.
I was in direct contact with Wahida Clark in the early to mid 2000s, 20 years ago. Wahida Clark was actually in federal custody doing a bid. And somebody introduced us. Me and her were pen pals. We wrote each other on a regular basis.
Right.
Um, and I was supposed to do a deal with her. I was supposed to sign with her company, but it didn't work out. The same thing with Shannon. I was supposed to sign with his imprint when he first got his deal with Simon and Schuster,
Right.
and it didn't work out. At I give both of those people credit though. Wahida Clark, New York Times bestseller, Shannon Holmes, Godfather of Street Literature, as being my mentors because each letter they wrote me, each interaction we had, I took it personal and I wanted to make myself better as a writer. So shout out to Wahida Clark, shout out to Shannon Holmes. Much love to both of y'all, man. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if y'all hadn't showed me the little bit of interest that y'all had at that time in my life. I was about 25, 24, 25 years old at the time.
What you? Yeah. What makes you think that that it is so appealing about the indie wave right now that everybody is jumping into it? You know what I mean?
Um, for me personally, it's been a long time. I've been independent for a long time. But when you look at today's what makes it so appealing today, um, you maintain you maintain control of your creativity, you maintain control of the content. Um, it's actually exciting to figure out how you gonna market this project, how you gonna promote the project, what your cover design is gonna look like. You constantly reminding yourself that this is a part of hip hop. So if you come from the hip hop culture, I come from the hip hop culture. You know, this is a contribution. I can't write rhyme, write stories. I could create characters.
Right.
I could create scenarios. I could create plots. I could create suspense. I could create love stories. I could create sex scenes, and nobody could water that down. So that's what's appealing about the independence, that wave, just owning your creativity, embracing your creativity, and then giving that shit to the world.
Right. But you think it's going, it could get oversaturated. You think it's oversaturated. You think it's everybody trying to write a book because everybody trying to rhyme. Everybody think they're a rapper.
Um,
You know what I mean? Like,
I do feel like sometimes like it's oversaturated, but at the same time, everybody wakes up in the morning and feel like this is God given talent. So who am I to question Allah's wisdom? You know what I'm saying?
right. I was just playing devil's advocate because I was thinking that's what people would think. Like, oh, everybody writing a book now, but you can say the same thing for the movie industry. And once again, like I said, the music industry. There's a whole bunch of
Right,
movies, but everyone don't get the recognition
right.
and the like. You know?
I I want to add something to that. I
Yeah,
think because since we discussing that, one of the things I despise and have a distaste for is when somebody pigeonholes me and says that I write hood novels.
right,
I don't write hood novels. I write fiction. I write fiction about the streets, about crime, about persevering, about the struggle, about wrongful convictions. I write fiction. Unfortunately, I'm from the streets, but you don't have guys like John Grisham. Shout out to John Grisham. For he showed mad love. But you
sure,
don't have the James Pattersons of the world being pigeonholed, saying that they're writing rural fiction or suburban fiction.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Imagine putting Keisha Cole and Keisha Cole and Ariana Grande in the studio, right?
Yeah,
And you got this super producer. He's gonna produce both records. The check been cut. Both record labels paid him. He got to come up with two hit records for these two artists, right?
right,
He's bouncing back and forth between studios. He got Ariana Grande up in one studio, Keisha Cole up in another studio. He comes up with a loop that he took from a 1980s classic. He's going to cut that joint and use it for both records.
right,
The production is similar. He's the producer. He made the beats. Both
right,
beats sound similar. They got some similarity to them. And he sent both of these artists into two different studios and they come out with a record, right?
right,
Both of the records is dope. Fire, gas, lit. One record ends up on the pop charts. One record ends up on the R&B charts.
right.
Why is that?
You know what I mean? They classify them as that
I'm gonna
because of
tell
the
you the
artists.
answer.
Yeah,
It's segregation within the music industry.
yeah,
We experience the same thing in the literary world, in the literature. That's how they segregate us. This is hood fiction. This is a hood novel. This is a crime novel because this author wrote this. He's white. This author wrote that. He's black.
right,
It automatically gets placed into these things. We got to get away from that. I don't write hood novels. I write crime fiction.
right. For sure. Yeah, I see. I see. I mean, I see how. Yeah, that is a factor of all different art forms as well. Yeah, they do that where they pigeonhole a person because of his ethnic background or his racial background. You know what I mean? So same thing. You know, with actors, they get typecast. You know,
Right.
yeah. And it don't matter if you're doing Shakespeare. It'd be like, yeah, he's good for a black guy doing Shakespeare. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Facts.
a urban rendition of Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, so,
Right.
so that's it. What kind of writing advice do you have for people? You know, being that you've been writing for this long.
Oh man, I got 20 years in writing. Find some stuff that you like and read it and digest it. And then when you sit down and it's time for you to put pen to paper, make it your own. Like create your own scenarios, your own ideas, and that character into a corner and see how he or she reacts. Um, that's my advice today, as far as someone that's aspiring to become a writer. Read
Right.
a lot. You learn how to write from reading. I read everything: magazines, books, newspapers. Uh, I read everything.
And then you, I guess once you decide to jump into that endeavor, you're not just jumping in willy nilly. I would hope that you did some kind of research because you don't want to waste your time. You know, like it's any kind of like writing books that you would suggest somebody get like on how to write or just they should just start. So I heard like somebody say you should just get like a tape recorder and start telling the story like on the tape recorder.
I never had that honor. I didn't have that privilege.
Right.
Everything is from scratch, pen and paper. Now I got a tablet. I could write on my tablet or whatever. But the book that I would advise people to get is immediate fiction. Immediate fiction was a gift that was given to me from Wahida Clark,
Okay.
and it changed the game for me. It changed my life as a writer. Immediate fiction. Go get that. If you aspiring to become a writer, it's a must read. It's an excellent book too.
And so once you wrote this book and you ready to go to print, what publishing advice do you have? What do you think will be a good place to start?
Do not go at it alone. Make sure you got your savings, your finances up, your money that you got. Make sure you got a budget.
Right.
Um, uh, do your homework. Have a plan. You got to have a business plan. This is a business. Just because you self-publishing doesn't mean that this is not a business venture.
Right.
And make sure you, like I said, make sure you got a business plan. Do not go at it alone. Make sure you got your marketing and your promotion in place, and that you have people willing to help.
For sure. Yeah, and then you'll if anybody listening needs some help, you can reach out to us too. Go to our website,
Right.
comment. We could give you a direction to go in. If you're free, if you're in jail, if you've got a loved one that's locked up, we help everybody. So
Okay.
just reach out to us
Right.
and we could give you resources, or we can help you. Hold your hand through the process and turn everything over to you.
That's
Okay,
a fact. That's a
so
whole fact.
for sure. And what's next? What's next for you in your company, in your books?
What's next for my company, my books? I want to do something I haven't done in 14 years.
Right.
I want to release 2 books in 1 year.
Okay. Doing it,
That's my
you're
goal.
doing
The
a
last time
DMX.
I did, yeah, the last time I did that was 2010.
Right.
So that's my goal for this year, to release 2 books in 1 year. My next book is called Love Ain't What You Say, It's What You Do.